in this section actually was in your other section where we wrote acute angles, and so you already have some of the vocab down. There was just a couple that we did not get. So you might need to recall back to those old vocab words. Hopefully you remember it, because again, this was last year's stuff, but I want to add these in for this section. So you're labeling it notes objectives 5 through 7. Okay, and then you're writing angle addition postulate. You don't have to write it twice. I didn't realize in my picture I already had angle addition postulate, so only write angle addition postulate once, and then I'll get this blown up so this is a little bit easier to see for you guys. Maybe. Let's make it a little better. Okay, so if point B lies in the interior, so on the inside of angle AOC, then when we add the two smaller angles, so AOB and BOC, that gives you the bigger angle. Okay, so adding the two small ones together would give you that big red angle. Okay, so you're writing that definition. Remember, it's points for the drawing as well with the notation. Okay, and then linear pair is the second one. Okay, if you're still writing, keep writing. I'm just going to talk about what we've got up here. Okay, so angle addition postulates. We already talked about that. We add these two smaller angles, okay, to put them together to make the red angle. We add them. Okay, so this is similar to our segment addition postulate that we had, where we had the 10-inch string. Remember, we cut it in 4 and 6, so we could add the 4 and 6 to know when we put it together it was 10. So this is the same thing. Okay, so if I said that this was 20 degrees, and this was 40 degrees, you can tell me that the red angle is what? 60 degrees, because we add the two small ones to get the big one, okay? Or if I didn't know this, and I knew this small one, but then I knew that the big one was 60 degrees, and if you're asked for the small one, what are you going to do with those two? Subtract. So it's either adding the two small to get the big, right? Or if they give you the big and one of the smallest to find the other one, you're going to subtract. So again, just like the test we just took, you're going to want to sketch it so that you know which one they give you, the two small or the big and one of them small, so you're either adding or subtracting. Okay, does that make sense? It's similar to the second condition. Okay, so linear pair. So two adjacent angles who share a side or a ray and whose sum are 180 degrees. I didn't have a symbol on my keyboard for that. Or make a straight line. So a linear pair would look like this. So I want you to add this onto your notes. Okay? So it's going to make a line, but it's two lines that are put together. Okay? That makes a linear pair. So it's two angles that share a ray, right? Because this one right here, and then different color, this one right here, okay? They share a ray. So that's what makes a linear pair. Okay, and then if I put this one together and this one together, they should add equal 1. Okay. So linear just meaning straight line. So two angles that you put together to make a straight line, which is 180 degrees. Okay, just a couple more and we're done with vocab. Can you see that in the back? Or does that need to be big? Okay. So adjacent angles is the vocab. So angles that share a side and are in one drawing. So I'll have a little sketch for you to add in just a minute after you're done writing it. And then angle bisector, a line that splits an angle into two equal angles. So we had the midpoint, right, that split a line in half because it was in the middle. And then bisector means it splits it in half, bi meaning two. Keep writing. I'm just going to talk about, and you'll add these little small sketches. Okay. So adjacent angles, angles that share a side and are in one drawing. So when you have, say, a square, let's make it simple. Something like that square, not right. It doesn't matter. Okay, adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other. Okay, so if I'm talking about this angle right here, I'm not going to say this one over here is the adjacent one. Okay, adjacent means next to. So it either have to be this one, okay, or this one over here. Okay, so if this was my first angle, this would have to be matching up with it. So this either it's this one or this one. Okay, they're next to each other. Okay, it's not this one, right? Okay, so it's either connected to it, sharing a side, basically is what it would be. So it doesn't matter what type of shape you have. So say we started drawing, don't draw this. It's like really draw. So, okay. So if I had this angle right here, I'm not going to pick this angle right here. The one that's adjacent is either going to be this one or this one. Okay? Because if I pick this one, it shares a side. If I pick this one, it shares a side with the angles. Okay, so adjacent means next to. It's like your next door neighbor. Okay, so right next to. Okay, so angle bisector means it splits it. Yes.
Do you want to break both of those?
No, just so you have an example of a drawing of one. Okay. Angle bisector means it splits an angle in half. Okay, so you're going to have drawings of angles, and they're going to tell you that this line is the angle bisector. Okay, so if we know it's the angle bisector, then I know that this angle and this angle have to have the same measurement. Okay, so they might tell you that the big angle on the outside is 20, and then they want to know what each of these angles would be. What would that be? 10, right? Or they might just tell you one of them. Okay, so you can draw this. Okay, so we'll just put 10. So that you have an example. Don't draw this next one. We just want an example. So if they draw another one, and they say it's an angle bisector, and they say this one is 5, what would this one be? What would this one be? Okay. So just pay attention if it's angle bisector or if it's just the angle addition postulate. Those are two separate things. Okay. Bisector means they're the same measurement. Okay. So you either divide by 2 to find out what the two small ones are, or you can subtract if we know what one of them are. Okay. From the outside one to find out what the other one is, or just know that they're going to be the same. Okay. Bless you. Okay. I think that was it on my vocab. Okay, so first problem, number 12. So it says name an angle complementary to angle BOC. Okay, and then just do your best at drawing this. It doesn't have to be an exact sketch, but get those letters in your drawing there. Was one of your vocab words from a previous section. So we have complementary and supplementary. So if you remember this from section 1, complementary is which one? Complementary and supplementary. Remember? Supplementary is 180, so complementary 90. Okay, so if you remember and listen to the actual video when I did it with the vocab, the way that I remember the difference between the two is you have a C and an S. Right? Complementary is C, supplementary is S. So alphabetically, C comes before S. So 90 would come before 180. So in case you forget which one's which. Okay, so it says name an angle complementary. So it means it adds to equal 90 to BOC. Okay, so we're looking at BOC, which is this angle that's right here. So BOC. So another angle that if I were to add it on there, it's going to make it 90 degrees. Not that it is 90, I'm adding it onto this to make it 90. Which angle? COD, right? Because if this is 90 over here and this makes a straight line, right, then that means that this over here has to be 90. So this one plus this one, okay, is the one that's going to be the complementary one, the one that you add to it. Okay, so we're going to put angle COD. Okay, so don't write this, but I just want to make sure you're recalling this. Remember, there's different ways to write angles, okay? So I could actually write this as also what? DOC. Can I write it as angle O?
No.
No. Why?
Because it always has to stand since it's
If I said look at angle O, would you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
No, because this one has O in it, that one has O. They all have O in it. Okay, so you can only do that when it's all by itself. Okay, so this would be right or this would be right. Okay. Did you have a question there?
Do they have to be like uppercase?
Yes, because it points 3 letters.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so next one. 14. So this is kind of practicing of what we just did on the last one. So name all angles having M as their vertex. Okay, so when they ask this, they want you to list it in as many ways as possible. So sometimes you will have the number, sometimes you won't. Okay, so for sure, I could call it angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. Can I call it angle M? No. Okay, so that one's out. Okay, so let's name this one. So I can call this NMO, okay? You don't have to list that one backwards because that is that same angle, but it wouldn't be wrong if that was one of them, okay? So you only want to list each angle one way, okay? So we did that one, okay? This one, OMP, okay, which could be PMO, good, okay? This one, okay? Q. Ready? Okay, now I can put two of them together because this just makes another angle. And P. Good. Okay, now so we don't get this confused. Okay, now I can put these two together. Okay. Okay, and then the other one I think that we have left is the big angle. Putting them all together. And oh. Okay, so what do you notice in the three variables have to be in the middle? M is, which is the vertex. Okay, so that one would be worth, what do we got there? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Okay, so make sure you're paying attention that we can make angles by putting them together, and that's a whole nother angle. Okay. All right, almost done. Number 11. Okay, so the way that this reads is the measure of angle ABC is equal to 47. That's the symbol and. The measure of angle ABD equals 71. They want us to find the measure of angle DBC. And then just make sure you got the drawing. ABD's on the outside and then C on the inside. Okay, we good? Okay, so we're just going to fill in the drawing what we know. So ABC, so ABC would be this angle right here. A is 47. ABD, so ABD would be this outside angle, the big angle is 71. They want you to find DBC, this one right here. So this has to do with your angle addition postulate one. How would we find the missing one? All right, you're going to subtract 71 from 47. Which I don't think I'll figure out here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Make it fun of my fingers. Oh. Okay, we good? Okay, I don't know if that that was my last one, or the other one. Way up one. I think that's the last one. Yeah. So this one's the last one. Okay, so number 17. Trying it again, but this time they got those silly variables in there, so using algebra. So the measure of angle JHI is 2x plus 9. And the measure of angle GHI is 7x minus 4. And the measure of JHG is 68. This one they want us to find two of them. So we'd actually have to solve for the x and then plug it back in. Yeah.
So that's x minus 4.
Yeah, 7x minus 4. Okay, so you're thinking of the segment addition postulate. Okay, remember we're going to add two small ones to set it equal to what the big one is. Okay, but now we've got variables. So we just got to set it up just as if there was numbers. Okay, so GHI or JHI. So JHI would be this one right here is 2x plus 9. Okay, GHI, so GHI would be this one right here, is 7x minus 4. Okay, what did we say when we knew the number? What do we do with those two to get the big one? Add them. Okay, so I'm going to set that up. So we've got 2x plus 9 plus 7x minus 4. And it equals what the total is. And the total, they told us, for the big angle is 68. We're good to there? Lucy, there? So this angle plus this angle would give me the big angle. But we don't know what they are, so we're just writing it. Oh, sorry. As if we did. I'll just rewrite it. I don't know where it went. Okay, so combining like terms. So we have a 2x and a 7x, so that would give me 9x. Okay, then I've got a negative, or a positive 9 and a negative 4, plus 5 equals 68. What's my next step?
Subtract the 5.
Subtract the 5.
Subtract 68.
So 9x equals 63.
Yeah, and then divide by 9.
X equals 7. Okay, so they didn't want x. They want us to find G or JHI. So JHI, if I know that the x is 7, if I plug that in there, then I would go 2 times 7, which is 14, and 14 plus 9 would be, well, 14 and 10 would be 24, right? So we'll subtract 1. So it'd be 23. Okay, I can plug into the other one, right? Or I could do what with 23 and 68? Subtract. Okay, so either one of them. So I'm going to plug in 7 here. So 7 times 7 would be 49, and 49 minus 4 would make it. Okay. Right, and the two of them should add to equal what the total was, which was 68. Which is okay, so these are our two answers of 23 and 25. So make sure you're paying attention. Don't just stop at solving for x. If that's what they want, some of them will say just solve for x. Others will want you to plug it in. Okay, El Dunzos.